guitarists, there's this thing that we really have to be diligent to watch out for, and that is the hurty zone. Yes, the hurty zone. It's a scientific term It's not a scientific term. It's a term my friend Jason made up, but it refers to the fact that our guitars can often be pretty offensive to the ears, our tone specifically, and we have to watch out for that. And here's a story, and this is what we're going to be doing today. There's a guy named Larson on our worship team, and he made his own patch. He's super passionate, great player, loves the Lord, loves helping, and so he bought himself a Helix floor, and he just likes tinkering and making his own patches. And so he's been using this one called EX2. It's Experiment 2. And then a few weeks ago, our sound guy came to me, Jason, and he said, hey, you got to talk to Larson. There's something about his tone that is so shrill and brittle. I'm really having to turn down the hurty zone, which is around 2K. So he's having to take 2K and take that down like 8 to 10 dB for Larson's tone to fit in the mix well. So I told Larson, and he was cool about it. And he asked if I would help him. And I figured, sure, I might as well film it and show him exactly what I do so he can either just take the tone or he can watch and see how I do it. And I thought I could upload it as well. So welcome along for the ride. Today is going to be a tone redialing, and hopefully you find this helpful. So here is the tone we're working with. So you can hear pretty immediately there's a lot of things in there that we're going to fix. The first of which is it's really brittle. He's got shimmer reverb on his bass tone going all the time. There's some phasing issues going on as well, so we're going to get to that. But here first, let's look at how he's built this. He has 4 snapshots. If you look at the board here, and normally along the top he has the pedals going and it just has 4 snapshots on the bottom, but on mine I have it configured differently. So he has his clean dry, drive dry, and drive wet. And basically it's his clean with reverb, and then he dimes the amp, and then dimed amp with reverb. And we're only going to work with the first patch because, as you can see here, he has tied his drive boost to the snapshots, which is super smart. And then what's also smart, he's compensating for his volume with the master here. Now, the first critique I would say is for your master, if you turn your master volume up, that's going to act like a guitar amp, and that's going to give you more overdrive. And that's not what he's looking for here. He's just wanting to turn it down because he's turning up the drive. And I would actually change that to be on his channel volume, because channel volume is just going to, it's a clean boost or cut. It's just turning up this particular block, whereas this is going to make it respond differently. Now you do have to be mindful that if you do turn up whether the distorted or the clean block, it is going to affect each of these other blocks differently. So you just have to keep that in mind. So we're going to deal with that today, and let's look and see what we've got. We've got a gate. We have a flanger, we have a fuzz that he has marked as on this. The foot switch is a momentary, and it's called do not press because it's like extra, and I love that. I think that's funny. He's got the air apparent here, volume pedal, then he's got the Fender Super Vibe, and he's got the Fender Super Vibe cab. We have a roll off here, just rolling off the low end. He's got a delay, he's got a dotted 1/8 delay because he's a Christian. And we have shimmer that's always on, and we're going to fix that. And then we have glitz, and then we have another gate, and then we have a compressor. And then here he has his widening block, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first I can tell you, here's what we're going to do. We're going to nuke these dynamics, and we're going to turn on this built-in gate. Line 6 has a nice built-in gate there. And I know from experience, for me, with my loud playing and quiet playing, the stock setting is actually pretty good for me. So we're going to turn that off. We're going to turn that off. We're going to turn all these things off. And here is our new tone. So still pretty shrill, still pretty brittle. And what we're going to do first, so I'm going to turn these guys off, and I like to really monitor my volume. That's why I have my Logic window going over here. So I am going to see what we're hitting, just guitar by itself. So So and that's with no effects going, nothing like that. And the reason that's important is because I want to know when I apply a block or mess with the block, I can look over here for reference and be like, oh wait, that's way hotter or way quieter. So first we're gonna apply a compressor. I like the Deluxe Comp. It's based off the Cali 76, I believe, but then also that's based off the 1176, a classic compressor. I know that I don't like it to be too squashed, but the reason we're putting a compressor at the very beginning is compression gives you, if anybody tells you they actually know how a compressor really works, they're lying, because nobody actually knows how a compressor works. Not really. They're just mysterious, because you can bring up the lower parts of your volume. You can also bring down the higher parts. You can bring things out. You can compress things, make things louder or quieter. Basically, what we want to do is level those peaks and bring up some of the low end. Gives us some sustain, and then it just evens out how we're going to be hitting each and every one of these other blocks. So here's this now. And I know from experience with this guitar, I like it at about there. Now, I'm going to look over here with my volume. Now I'm hitting -14. Cool. Okay, so now we have an even tone coming in. Now, let's turn on the amp and this. I can tell you already by looking at it what I don't like. What's offensive to the ears. There's a lot of mid, a lot of treble, and a lot of presence. I'm going to throw my cans on here because I want to hear the intricacies. But I can tell you I'm not going to like this. So what I'm going to do, we're going to bring up a little bit more bass. We're going to bring that treble and mid down, and I'm going to nuke that presence. It's still a little bright. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to listen what this does. A little bit of mid in there. And I think I want a little bit of that presence, almost like some frosting on top. Just a little bit of sparkle. I like that. Okay, already that's a lot better. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I wanna show you this other thing. This is a stereo widener that he has, and what it does, it's a delay block. And if you have two cabs, if you're running stereo, and you apply this very simple delay block, you turn the feedback all the way down, which means you're only going to get one repeat. Turn your mix all the way up, which means you don't hear the original sound, you just hear the affected sound, your wet sound. And then you put it at a super short time, like anywhere from 15 to 30, maybe 40 milliseconds. And what happens is you play your guitar, you play a note, the one speaker fires, and then the other one fires milliseconds later, which doesn't change anything with your panning, but it makes your ears feel like the other one is further away. So it makes it sound like, hey, I'm in a larger space. And it's kind of cool. So what that does is this. I'm going to put this on so I can hear along with you. So we have just mono here. And then if we go wide, that doesn't sound quite right. Ah, yes. So then you go to your mixer block here, and you have to make sure to do this, you have to make sure you're actually panned. Otherwise, it gets all phasey sounding. Now, so now you see how the effect is. It's like right in front of you. And it moves everything to the sides. So I like that. We're going to keep that. I typically would only use that. I wouldn't use that when I'm doing any like lead stuff. If I'm strumming even a lead rhythm guitar or something like that, I would only really use this when I'm trying to get out of the way as a guitarist and create some ambience and stuff like that. And I am going to change our speaker cab here. So he has the stock speaker cab, which is fine. And you'll notice both sides are exactly the same. The only difference down here on the bottom is one is panned left, one is panned right. And so then what happens when we apply this delay block, the left goes to the left, right goes to the right. And if you look over here on our meter, exactly the same, left and right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change the mics. So I would like to go to a more, my favorite mic combination, which is 57 and a Royer 121. And I just like how it sounds. Now what that is going to change is now if you look at our stereo spread over here on the meter, notice it sounds nice. Our left side is a lot hotter. And what it also will do when I apply this stereo block, it's going to have the brighter mic in the left because of how I have it, and then the darker mic in the right. And so it's not going to sound exactly the same, and it will sound, you'll just find it's going to be more prominent. Your volumes will be the same, but it'll be more prominent in the left-hand side. I'm okay with that because when I'm trying to get out of the way and doing all this reverby stuff, I'm okay if both sides are a little bit different. That's fine with me. But I do want to fix this volume change. So we're still hitting at about 5.3, I believe. No, we're at about 8.3. So that's cool. I'm okay with that. So I'm not going to take the 57 down. I'm going to turn the Royer up. And we look, I don't know, a couple of decibels different. You can get really granular with this if you want. And sometimes what I'll do if I'm not trying to go quickly through this so you don't get bored, I'll actually solo out each mic and see which one is hitting exactly how it hits volume-wise, and then I'll even them out. But for right now, we're just going to eye it. So you can see that's a little bit better. We're going to go up a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more. So, and truthfully, what you can also do, and I think we'll take this down a little bit, since we have two different mics, we're not just looking for equal volume, we're looking for a blend, right? But I do like what I hear from both mics, and I'd like those to be about equal. But if in a mixing situation, you can turn the 57 down to darken it up, or vice versa. Cool. Okay. I dig that. So we're going to save. And there we go. We have compression, we have an amp, and that's it. Oh yeah, let's see what happens now with this stereo block. So we'll notice, so if we pan it now, well, it's not really panning. If we apply the stereo block, it sounds... Let me go here. Mono. Stereo. It's not really mono stereo, but wide. And notice the volumes stay the same. But if you're listening on headphones, it'll sound a little bit brighter in the left. And you might not even think it sounds brighter. You might just perceive it as sounding louder in the left side. Okay. We got amp. Our amp sounds better. We have some good stuff there. I like that. Now let's deal with our space. So Larson had the shimmer on, and he had it on a pedal, but it was on always. I'm going to assume that means he was having it as an always on pedal, but it might not be. But this is what your shimmer does. So shimmer is another long type modulated reverb. Oh. And it creates all these harmonic overtones or these harmonic echoes. It's really kind of cool sounding. I think of it like if I'm playing ambient stuff, I'm creating a cloud. And if I'm using shimmer, that's creating little sparkles within the cloud. which is a really odd but very helpful analogy because every cloud sparkles, right? So I'm not going to mess a lot with the parameters in here because that could go for hours upon hours. I'm not used to the shimmer in line 6. I usually use a Strymon when I'm doing that. I have a Strymon that I hook up outboard. But I would say, I think I want, the mix is at 40. That seems pretty high already. What happens if... There's the full effect. Well, I'll take it here. I don't want to overpower the... We got that, and then the decay is at 6.5. Let's bump that a little bit. But I'm gonna keep that as it is, and I'm gonna turn it off. We're not gonna use that. I'm gonna combine that with this for some buttons a little bit later. I will say there is a reverb. If you want to have an always on reverb, you're going to want to go with something pretty bland because you're not wanting a reverb to be noticed. A reverb should be felt. You should notice when it goes away, but you should never be like, oh, hey, that's reverb. So I usually like to start with a hall or a room. My favorite is to do a big room. And I know I usually like about six-ish. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, and then I like the mix down. So you notice then if we turn it off, then that happens. And if I turn it back on, you can't hear it. You really can't hear it much when I'm playing until I stop. Okay, we're gonna keep that on, and that's not gonna be on a controller. So that's just always on. And for now, we'll put it here at the very end. So now this is a tone that I would like. Man, I keep coming back to this amp. I am not digging the treble now. So I think I am gonna take that back, and I'm gonna put a little bit more bass in there. Love it for now, because all of us guitar players say that, right? Oh, that's the best. And then we mess with it, and then we sell it, and then we buy another one. Okay, there is a good bass tone right there. I dig that. I like that. This, you know, if you were just to show up to a gig, this is a great place to start. Now, the most important effect we're going to have is our overdrive. So he had the heir apparent, which is your Prince of Tone. I like that one. That's a great one. Let's see what it's doing now, because even though I didn't change anything in the settings of it, because I've changed the amp, the overdrive might sound a little bit different. Okay, I like that. I'm going to go less boost and more just actual overdrive. Oh, my volume pedal. It's not doing the volume pedaling. I'm going to make a choice here too, because I don't want this video to be an hour. I am not going to mess with what he has done with his drives. Or am I? No, I'm not. Maybe I'll do that as a bonus, like a secret track. Yeah, I'm not going to. So I'm just going to go on this because that's going to get into, since he has a pedal that's adjusting the master, and he also has snapshots adjusting the drives, that's going to get into a lot, and I'm bound to mess something up for sure. Okay, so we're just going to go looking at this pedal, and I think I'm going to go with higher gain, and I'm going to crank the tone down a bit. I don't want that dark tone of a tube screamer, but I want a little bit less bright. Okay, let's double check. This is on a foot switch. Yes, it sure is. Okay, and I'm going to go into my foot switch settings so I can see that. Great. Okay, just because I want to, we're gonna check out what this here fuzz sounds like. Fun. Fuzz is fun because it's so dynamic. And what I mean is you can change it, but it changes a lot by just a little sweep of the tone or sustain or the level. Realize my speakers are a little loud and there's people in the office today, so sorry, not sorry. Okay, I like that. I like a fuzz to be warm, not that like spiky type sound, and because we're mostly going to be using that for solo stuff, right? Okay, save guys. Okay, now let's go on in order. Actually, let's go in order of importance. So here's our Elephant Man. And I can tell you already, I'm not comfortable with the Elephant Man. Oh, hold on. I'm not comfortable with the Elephant Man because it only has a certain amount of memory in it, even though it's the Memory Man, which is the Edge's secret tone, right? But I know there's a lot of tempos that I can't get with it. So... okay, he already has a dotted eighth delay, so we're going to keep the Elephant Man and see what he's got going here. So see, I can't go any slower than that, really. Oh. Maybe I can. See, this is what I don't like about the Memory Man now. Because it doesn't make sense to me how the tempos change or don't. Type in the comments if you understand how that works. I haven't delved into that. However, I like the sound of it. I like that depth, the vibrato we get in there of the chord. Just a little bit, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I like the wobble you get in the sound there, that chorus effect if you're going for sustain. Like that, we're gonna go with that. Now onto our dotted eighth delay. Because we're Christians, we use dotted eighth delay and we have it smoking hot. Oh, I was messing with the wrong one. I like not my feedback to be that long. I like my mix to be way long. Here we go. There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Okay, you guys, I'm liking this. Now let's move on to our reverbs. So I really am a fan of the glitz. I like, for a good swell, I like the glitz to be hanging out a long time. Now to use your glitz, we really need to have a volume pedal. I have looked a lot into the glitz and how it interacts with itself between the crossover point and your modulation mix. I have yet to fully grasp how to use it. I understand in principle. So what I do is I have a few favorites that I've saved here. So we're going to try this cloud glitz I got from, I can't remember the guy's name. I like that. I like that. But I want a little longer. And I want a little bit more. So bright. It's jazz, right? It's jazz, guys. Okay, where's our mix? Maybe a little bit. Oh, keep it there. Now, I think what we'll do, so we have that on a button. So we've got that on foot switch 3. I'm also going to put this guy on foot switch 3. And we're going to add the shimmer and have it after our glitz and see how that sounds. Helps if my chord doesn't play. What if we put the shimmer after, or the glitz after? I don't mind that. And then if we want to get really anthemic here. So for now, what I've done is I've put that on. I think what I'll do, we'll do this. Because you can put those both on if you want. We'll just do, yeah, we'll keep that on there. And keep, oops. I know how to work this, I promise. That's on 3. What else is on 3? I don't want the flanger on 3. We're going to take care of this flanger in a second. Okay, so now I've got shimmer and glitz. He can put them both on at the same time if he wants. And we've got tape delay, Elephant Man. Let's see here. I like those. Okay, let's listen to this harmonic flanger thing. I am not a fan of a flanger because I just don't like the sound of it. It screams 80s, but not in a good way to me. And to me, I feel what it does is, if you're looking for that chorusy vibe, it does that, but it does it in such a way that makes it sound like there's some phasing issues. So let's look at his settings here. The rate is at 3.5-ish. The width is at 3.5-ish. And spread is 3.5-ish. Boy, we're at a 3.5-ish vibe today. Let's go with 70s chorus and let's try to mimic what he's got going there. 3.5-ish, kind of, sort of. And at 50. Ooh, no. So just enough to get it heard. You know, guys, I'm just not a fan. I don't like it. I do like chorus as an effect, like in your face. So we're just going to do that. We're going to have that as chorus. And we're going to put it somewhere. Let's put it on 7 because that's open. And we're just going to call it that. And then while we're in here, let's name everything. That's called Don't Press. That's awesome. Drive. Okay, Elephant Man. I'm going to call this our... I know how to use a keyboard. That's going to be our quarter delay. This is going to be our dotted delay. Shimmer. Glitz. So all of our pedals now are saying something that we want them to, so we know what they are, so that's good. Okay. Well, you guys, I think this is what we're looking for. No, that is not what we're looking for. Okay, I like the tones. You got good sustain. It's piercing enough. And if you want to drive, ooh, now we've adjusted things. I don't really like that drive anymore. So let's see here. It's a little fuzzy. Like a little unclear. Like that. Okay, there you go. Like half-hour-ish kind of. We got a tone redialed. I would play this. I would play with this. I like this. And one last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to put this somewhere, and we're going to put it on footswitch 1, and we're just going to call this wider. So if at the press of a button he wants to be like, hey, I'm way off to the side. So now what you've got is you have your clean, you have overdrive, you have some lead. That's with the overdrive on, or you can do the fuzz without. Ooh, it gets a little fizzier there. And then we have a few levels of ambience that we could do. So you can just do the shimmer if you want it, which keeps the guitar a little bit more out in the front, but you have these cool sounds in the background, and then you can combine that with the glitz. And then we can take that and then put the stereo widener. And that kind of gets it out of the way as well. I like this. There you go. Larson, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for however much you watched. Again, I've got down in the comments is the patch if you like it. But yeah, stay tuned for more other things. Who knows what we'll do next.